Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, today this is actually a new presentation for us, so I'm very excited to bring it to you. Retail therapy and mom guilt. October, we are doing a women's empowerment month, and so our presentations this month um, tend to focus on that. But that does not mean that this does not go for men. So I mean, men use retail therapy as well, and also there is dad guilt, and so we're not excluding the men, but we are focusing on the women. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So thank you so much for joining me, and let's go ahead and get this going. So today we're going to be talking about retail therapy, the good, the bad, the ugly. In addition to retail therapy, we're also going to be touching on mom/dad guilt as well. And the reason why we're going to be discussing these things is if you've been on our previous educational webinars, we tell you that 80% of personal finance is in here, right? It's behavior. It's how your mind gets you into these things, and so it has to do. Finance has a lot to do with psychology as far as how you're actually spending and what's going on with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss um, what items you need to be aware of, and maybe start rethinking healthier alternatives if that's what needs to happen. Okay. So we're going to be talking a little bit about us. We're going to talk about retail therapy, what it is, the early warning signs, retail therapy mindness. We're going to talk about the mom guilt and what we can do to overcome it, and then we'll wrap it all up nice in the end. And I'll have all our contact information at the end of the webinar. Okay? All right. So who are we? So Centers for Finance and Education. If you are new to us, thank you so much for joining us. We are part of New Hampshire Federal Credit Union, and we are a area that our members, our community can come to help learn financial basics, budgeting, spending plan, all those things that you didn't really learn in school that were much needed to know when you're actually out there in the workforce and living on your own or even living with a family. Like, you need certain types of knowledge when it comes to your finances, and a lot of people didn't get that. And so that's what we're here for. We're really here to promote financial education, to help build your confidence, also have you become more accountable for how you've been running your finances, and help you get that newfound understanding of your financial picture to see what you need to change, if anything, to reach your financial goals. Okay. And this is me. So I am a financial wellness coach. I have been coaching individuals and families now for about 9 years. And in that time, I have met some wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people. Yes, were their finances completely messed up? Some of them. Were their finances just not organized? Some of them. But absolutely wonderful people. And finance is one of those topics that it's a very taboo subject that people don't want to talk about. Well, we're here because we want to talk about it, and we are trying to make it so it's not that taboo subject anymore. Almost like therapy, right? People think that if you have to go to therapy, there's something wrong with you. That's not the case. You know, you're reaching out to a professional that knows techniques and tools that can help you overcome your obstacles. That's all it is, right? That's all it is. Same in the financial world, right? We give you the tools, we give you that knowledge so you can overcome those financial obstacles. same thing. So, but both of them are a very taboo subject. So we're trying to change that. Trying to change it. So, what is retail therapy? So, some would say it's a fancy name to call a shopaholic. And again, I mean, it definitely has a better ring to it if you call it retail therapy, right? Because you think therapy, I'm doing something good for me. Well, um, but it can also mean doing something good for your mental health. And this is where we want to really separate retail therapy, the good, retail therapy, the bad, and kind of talk because not all retail therapy is created equal, and there are differences that are something that we really need to be aware about because some people do not know those differences and are in the really bad, they're in the ugly part. And they're like, well, no, they said this is good. It's like, no, this is good. What you're doing is ugly. So having that knowledge of knowing where that line is going to be key to really being able to address if your behavior is something that needs to change. Okay? So when retail therapy may be covering up a larger issue. So when you are feeling down, you go out and buy stuff even if you don't have the money. Okay. That's a red flag. All right, because you don't have the means and you're just going out because you don't know how to take care of your feelings any other way. And so that's what you're doing, right? You're feeling down, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling lonely. And it's the only way that you get that shot of happiness. But if you think about it and you actually look at your situation, and if this is you, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, am I just chasing happiness? Is this actually making me happy? Or is it just something that's filling a void? Because if you keep needing to do something to get that fix of happiness, then it's really not doing its purpose. And you're just covering up for something else. And that is one thing that if just that one statement, if that hits home to you, that's when I would go ahead and sorry, I'm a little sick. So let me get my Lordy. Oh, I have my little trusty cough drop, so I'll throw one of those in because I'm starting to feel a little scratchy. So if you are feeling this way, this will be some time when we talk about what you can do for this. Getting actual therapy is going to be hugely beneficial, and we'll talk about that a little more. Number 2, if you hide purchases. Okay, this is big. If you need to hide purchases from your significant other, there's something going on there. Okay, and it could be a few things. One, you guys are on a budget and you have saving goals, and maybe your retail therapy does not fit into the budget, at least the price that you would like it to be. And so maybe you've taken out credit cards and you've done the shopping on those credit cards and have not told your significant other. That's hard. Because the more you do that, the more you're going to feel like poo. But then the cycle keeps going, right? Because again, there's something deeper that's causing you to do this, where you cannot confide in your significant other. If you get initial high from the purchase and then immediately have buyer's remorse, a lot of people have this. I have friends like this, where they'll be out shopping, they'll get something, they'll get home. By the time they get home, they're like, oh. But then when it comes to returning it, they're like, oh, it's too much trouble. And that's not good. And when we talk about the good retail therapy, you'll see where the difference is. When we talk about these type of purchases and making you happy. Okay. So warning sign. So if you have any of the habits mentioned, this may reflect that there's something else going on, and you are using retail therapy to mask that or to avoid what's truly bothering you altogether. Um, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling lonely, mad, frustrated, and you use retail therapy to make you feel better, it is never going to actually work. Okay? Um, it's almost like an addiction has the same kind of steps. So you keep going back for more to feel that one moment of happiness, and then it is gone. Whoever said that retail therapy is cheaper than regular therapy is obviously wrong on so many levels. Um, because when you get into these spending sprees, this starts actually being a behavior. And that's what can get dangerous. If you're covering something up and you only use like retail therapy to like pack that other feeling down, then you're just piling it and piling and piling it up. Okay. And so this is something that we really want to make sure that people know that it's probably going to be best if you actually saw a therapist for that. Okay. Because those signs, and it can ruin marriages. When people don't realize what's going on with their behavior as far as spending, and they don't see it, but the other significant other does, that's hurtful because when the other significant other, and if you don't go to therapy, the other significant other is like, they're literally choosing clothes over me. Like we talked about it. We did a budget. We can't afford this, and they're still doing it. They are choosing clothes over me, and that's really not the case, right? What they're choosing is to be happy, and it's the only ounce of happiness that they get. They could probably really care less about what they're actually buying. And this is where it gets really deep and can get really muddy. And that's why it's one of those things that going to actual therapy is going to be huge, or even talking with a life coach. And we have a class later on in the month. They're actually going to be in person here at the Concord office, where we're actually going to have a certified life coach come in and be part of our classes and promote that. And they can definitely assist with things like that. All right. So, if going through these first couple slides, you're like, okay, that's me and I want to change. Yeah, there's obviously something. There's something going on. Because I do that, and then half the time I don't even wear the clothes in my closet. I have some friends like that as well, that they look through their closet and half their clothes still have the tags on it. And it was just the actual act of buying something, and it wasn't actually what they were buying. And so they don't even wear this stuff. They actually don't even like it. It's like, well, why don't you sell it, get rid of it, do something with it? At least empty up the closet space and get money for it, right? So how do we get your life back on track? So go to actual therapy. Yes, it's going to seem like it's expensive because you're not actually physically getting anything for your money, but I tell you, you get a lot of wonderful information, right? They know how to talk to you and have you realize what's really going on, and you're going to be like, oh my God, that's what's happening. It's like, yes. So therapy, I've been to therapy. My team members have been to therapy. We think it's something that's very underrated. It's something, and I mean, I always thought I was fine. I'm like, I don't need to go to therapy, and then I'm like, you know what? Let's try this out because there was times when I was not as or like too overly happy and not as happy, or some, there was just weird things. I'm like, why am I feeling this way? And so, and therapy was amazing, absolutely amazing. So I recommend it to everybody. Um, Two, make a budget and spending plan. So this is going to be huge, especially if you're spending money which you think you have, but you really don't because it's supposed to go toward bills. So if you've been with our other classes, you know that I love budgets. Love budgets. And so I will help you build one. I will. If you need that, I am here for you. I will help you build it. We give you the tools and then go from there. Recognize your triggers. Sometimes it's just the act of going someplace which triggers your shopping light switch, right? So if you go to a specific store that you absolutely love and you know that you can't window shop because you always walk out with like $200 worth of stuff, maybe avoid that store. But another thing is convenience, and I didn't have that on here. But understanding your trigger as far as some people shop because they're bored, right? And with our technology, we have a shopping at our fingertips 24/7. And the companies know how to make it easy for us to buy stuff. They make it extremely convenient, right? Boop, boop, boop. You get to save your cards to your phone. You can do one tap buy. It's extremely convenient. So if you know that, for instance, being bored, you start picking up your phone and you start looking at your emails, or you start looking at your notifications, or you start browsing specific sites, then that's what you want to focus on deleting. So, for instance, if you are part of a mailer program for a retailer that you absolutely love, and you get an email and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go on and see what they have for deals, but you actually weren't planning on buying anything to begin with. But now that they're attracting you with those emails and those sales, you're going to buy something that you weren't planning on buying. I would say unsubscribe. Okay, you want to get rid of those. If you have particular apps on your phone for stores that send you notifications, one, you can try and shut off the notifications. If that doesn't work, then I'd say delete the app. Okay, these are the things that you have to do because it's starting to become part of your behavior. Oh, I'm just going to go browse, see what they got. Well, you never just browse, right? So that's where you have to start changing. And then that way, you're changing your behavior slightly to the fact that, oh, I don't have that on my phone. Oh, I have to do something else. So if you're a board shopper, maybe getting a puzzle thing on your phone, or even if you are really kind of addicted to the phone and if you go on, you're going to look at the apps and things like that. Maybe getting a puzzle, like an actual physical puzzle book. So when you're bored, you don't go right to your phone, right? You go to the puzzle book. That's going to help. See how you're playing psychological games with yourself? And by doing this, you get rid of that habit of always going to that lifeline to shopping, okay? Sometimes if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling down, instead of trying to find happiness through shopping, you can actually go out, take a walk, find a park, something. Do something that makes you happy that doesn't involve shopping. Okay? Usually taking a walk and taking in deep breaths and really getting back to nature is a huge one. That one helps out a lot of people. Um, and clean house, this is what we were talking about cleaning up your apps, cleaning out your emails, unsubscribing, and things like that. And you can clean house because, especially if you recognize your triggers, and if you are a board shopper, and they tie in together. Um, so definitely recognize your triggers, okay, and clean house if you need to. So now there is a positive retail therapy, and this is the one where um, you'll see the differences between this and the negative retail therapy, in how people can say, "Oh, well, that's what I do," but not really. All right. So positive retail therapy, this is when shopping is not meant to chase a feeling, okay, like happiness, but it's a reward for proactive planning. All of these items below include a budget and savings plan, okay? So getting a new job, needing a new wardrobe. So this can be legit, especially I lived this. I went from being a vet tech, so all my clothes were scrubs, to working in a financial institution. Totally change of wardrobe. Total change of wardrobe. But that was something that I knew I was working on, and so when I budgeted money for a new wardrobe because I knew that I was looking for a new job. I knew I was getting out of a profession where I wear scrubs. And so that was something that I put money aside. And when I eventually got a new job, it was very exciting to go out and go shopping and start that new transition into a new field. Window shopping. So this is good. So if you have that where you just want to go out and look at stuff, and window shopping is huge, because then you can go on, you can look at stuff, but this does take a lot of self control. And if you kind of fall into the negative retail therapy side, then this might need to be built up to window shopping, because you might not have the behaviors yet to be able to just window shop. But window shop, like going through and going, oh, I love that, I would like to have that, I would like to have that, but you're okay with walking away from it. Okay, so that's going to be big. Helping friends shop. So this is something that I enjoy. I like going and helping friends. I'm not a shopper, but I love helping friends shop. And this is something where you can get really into it, but you're not spending the money. Okay. Again, if you are a negative retail therapy on that side right now, this is going to take a little bit to get used to, because again, it's changing your behavior. So you're not buying anything. You're helping your friend choose what they need to buy. So if they're going out for a nice date and I go, oh my God, let me come, I'll help you, da da da. And you get your little fix, and it's happy, and you're out with friends, and you guys have a great night. It's more than just chasing a feeling, okay? Easing transitions. So when we talk about easing transitions, this can sometimes be like, for instance, if there was a breakup, if there was a divorce. Um, I know when I got divorced, you kind of want to change things up, right? Um, because you don't want it to be the same as it was before. And so when I got a divorce, I ended up getting all new bedroom furniture. I had the money saved. You know what? That's what and it was really nice because I had the money saved. I went out, I did it, and it was like a new start, and it felt great. And it was transitioning from one period of my life into a new period of my life. And so that is positive retail therapy, because it's something that you're doing something for you to get you into a better mindset or a different mindset. And again, like I said, I had the funds, so definitely having the funds available to do that is going to be huge as well. Also, with therapy, like when I was talking to my therapist, it's funny because I talked about wardrobe and new job, but since being, I'm gonna be very open with you guys, okay? So you're gonna like get a little bit of Kimmy here. When I got married, I was 70 pounds lighter. Like I've my poor husband. He's gained 4 pounds. I've gained 70. It's just one of those things. And but something that I realized that was hurting me was I was still keeping all my skinny clothes because in my head I kept telling myself, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get back there. I'm going to get there. I just got to work at it and I have to do it. And, it's been probably about 5 years since I've been that weight. And so it was one of those things where I didn't realize how much those clothes in my closet were hurting me mentally. Because all I knew is I was saving money because, if I lost weight, I wouldn't have to buy a whole new wardrobe. But, my husband would be like, honey, why don't you wear this? You look so good in that. And I'll be like, because it doesn't fit. And then he's like, well, wear that. I'm like, well, that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit. And he's like, okay, then why are they still there? I'm like, because I'm going to get, and I used to get mad at him because in my head, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And my therapist was finally like, Kim, you need to just go through and get rid of all those clothes. And when I went to do that, like, I'm like, I don't want to get rid, but I love these clothes. I'm like, I haven't been able to fit in them for 5 years. And so when I actually got rid of them, it was like, oh, this is fantastic. Now everything in my closet, if my husband goes, oh, why don't you wear that? I'll be like, okay. Because first off, I know it fits. Second of all, I know I like it because I also got rid of clothes that I actually didn't like that were in my size but I didn't like. So I cleaned house. And my therapist actually gave me, when we were talking about this, she gave me the okay to buy clothes. Like, she's like, Kim, it's okay to spend money on yourself. I'm like, I know, but I have perfectly good clothes here. She's like, they're not perfectly good. They don't fit or you don't like them. They're not perfectly good. And I'm like, well, I guess you got a point. And so one of those is, so we actually started building shopping into our budget. So that's where I get with the plan. I know this was a long way around to get to the last point of planned shopping. But we actually did that for me. We actually, we started out with, she actually recommended Stitch Fix. And in that way that they give me styles that I probably normally wouldn't go to, but may like. And I have to tell you, I've been doing that for a couple months, and it's actually kind of fun. And we still set a budget for myself. So even though I have certain items come in that can definitely go over that budget, we stay within that budget. So we're like, okay, so this is how much we have to spend for. So I get the things in, and so I pick one or two or three items depending on what they cost. If I want, and there's been times where I haven't liked anything, and it's actually great because the clothes come to home, and I do like a little fashion show for my husband, and he'll be like, "Oh, I like that one," or no. So it's another way of bringing us together too. Um, but yeah, so planned shopping is something that's very helpful too, and it sets limits, so you don't go overboard, but also gives you the freedom to go shopping. Okay. All right. So that was the retail therapy part of things, and there's actually so much that goes into it too. You'll find tons of articles about retail therapy, talking about good, the bad, but really when we're talking about the good, it's having a plan, and you'll see that with a lot of our classes is it's always about a plan, whether you're buying a home, whether you're buying a car, whether you're building your credit score. There's always a plan involved, right? If you don't have a plan, you're never going to get where you need to go. Okay. All right, so let's talk about mom guilt. And you guys are going to hear a bunch of stuff from me on this one too, because I have a little 12-month-old. He's actually turning 12 months. So he's turning a year on Sunday. We are very excited. Very excited. I have to say I have not run into mom guilt yet, only because I think I'm so stubborn that I really don't care about other people's opinions unless I'm asking for them. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so mom guilt is where a parent has a psychological war with themselves, okay? They feel like they are not doing enough and are not making the right decisions. So I guess I really did have a little bit of this when I was home with him for the first 10 weeks and then had to go back to work. Like, that was rough because I'm like, oh my God, I'm his mom. I should be raising him. And then I kept going back and forth. I'm like, no, if I go to work, I'm going to, I have my retirement plan. We'll have more income. Baby's going to daycare, even though daycare takes most of my income. But he's getting, socialization. He's meeting new people, constantly meeting new kids, having fun. They're certified teachers. They know what to teach him. I'm not a certified. I'd just be probably playing with him and kissing him all day, so that's really not going to help nurture him at all. So that was probably the only time I ever had a little bit of mom guilt, was at that stage of the game. Now, when we start talking a little bit more about the mom guilt, you're going to see similarities of what we call the finance world, keeping up with the Joneses. Okay, so as you guessed, it decreases our mental health to a point that it may create higher levels of anxiety, which may indicate a more serious mental health condition such as depression or postpartum anxiety. And with mom guilt, it's one of those where it goes much deeper than feeling like you're not doing enough and not making the right decisions. It's the people around you that are making you feel that way. Okay? And so when we start talking about that, is we're going to talk about overcoming mom guilt, but with every one of these, we're going to be talking about how the mom guilt comes in and how you overcome that mom or dad guilt, because we have a lot of dads that are staying home or being more active in children's lives. It's not the same old gender roles that we had decades ago, but we're definitely having that change in gender roles, and it's something that we want to make sure, like especially with our son, we want to make sure that he knows that it's okay if he's not feeling okay. He can show his feelings. You know, he doesn't have to be a sports guy. My husband's not a sports guy. He doesn't need to know about sports. If he wants to, perfect. I enjoy sports, so it's something that we can do. But we're not. I don't want to have him grow up feeling that he has to be a certain way just because of his specific gender, right? Um, so first, identify sources of guilt. So are there certain things that make you feel guilty for the choices you have made? If there is, you want to identify those and then either figure out what you want to do about it. If certain things, like when I started breastfeeding my little guy, and then a month in, we found out that I was starving my poor little guy because I just wasn't producing enough, and so I had to go on formula. Even though I wanted to try and keep it as natural as possible, my whole thing was I'm listening to the doctors. whatever the doctors say, they know a lot more about this than I do. Yeah, I might have maternal instincts and all that good jazz, but they know more than I do. And so I never felt guilty for putting him on formula, ever, because I had my in this I had my truth. I had my values, and my values is I want a healthy baby. If mama can't give that to him, then yes, by all means, we will add in formula. That's fine. Um, but like for me, going back to work, like I said, like putting him in daycare, and because we had some people around us saying, "Oh, well, don't you feel bad?" It's like, well, yeah, but then it's when you, because yes, I would love to be home all day, every day with my little guy. Of course, I would. And anyone who's met him would want to stay home with him too. But my truth, so know your truth. My truth is I want to give him the best opportunity to be the best person he can be. And yes, that might not be spending 24 hours a day with mama. And that's coming to the realization that, yeah, you know, I enjoy him, and we have fun, and he's always laughing and having a ball, and we have fun learning. We're learning to walk right now, and we're having a ball doing it, and we're showing shapes and colors. But I know he does really good at school, and he gets a whole nother um, involvement and teachings, and so I know that that's what I want for my son. Like I get to see my son plenty, you know. I mean, I could always see him more, but that's what I want for him. Okay. Spring clean your trusted circle. This is a big one because this is gonna be hard for some people because there might be some people in your inner circle that are very negative. And the reason why this might be hard is because those negative people may be family members. That can get ouchy. But what you want to do is have a talk with them, come out with a game plan, right? Because they might not know how much what they're saying is bothering you and making you feel guilty about your choices, which you shouldn't be. Because I'm sure you came to a realization and came to the decision after weighing all the options. I'm sure you just didn't say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this," just willy nilly, right? And so when you've taken the time to really look at the different options and then weigh them and look back at them a second time and a third time and then say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then you finally implement it. For someone to come in and then totally bust you down, that's not cool. And sometimes they really do, they think they're being helpful. Thank goodness I did not have any of this during my pregnancy either. At least no one said it to my face. I think people know that I'm really stubborn, and I just kind of like, nope, I am. This is what I'm doing. I've already thought about. That's nice. You can do that. I'm not doing it. And so I didn't get a lot of that when I was pregnant about what I'm eating, what I'm doing, what exercise. I didn't get any of that. So people were really kind, and I think either they know like I'm a bulldog at heart, and especially with my hormones all over the place, they just didn't want to test that. So it kind of went either way, but thank goodness I didn't get any of that. Um, but it's one of those things too that you want to stand up for yourself and your decisions, right? Obviously, you've done the research and you wanted to do it this way, and so by golly, you do it that way. Now, not saying that everyone that is trying to talk to you about doing different things is bad, because you always have objective people that are in your trusted circle. So they'll always be like, well, have you tried it this way? And then you're like, you know what? I haven't, but that sounds really cool. Those are good people to have, right? Because if everyone kind of thought the same way, then it's kind of like work. having that diversity and having people think outside the box and try different things is really beneficial. Same with your trusted circle. If something, because not all babies are created equal, so if something is not working for your baby and someone has a different idea, that's when those are healthy things that are coming through. Excuse me. But yeah, those are healthy members of your trusted circle that are coming in to try and help and offer different suggestions that can help your baby and you. Okay, so that's what we talk about when spring cleaning your trusted circle. And if there are people that are just negative Nancy's, um, and you don't need them around. You don't need that type of negativity. I mean, you already are double guessing everything you do anyway. I don't know how many nights I'm up Googling stuff, and my husband thinks I'm just playing on my phone, and I'm actually researching stuff. And he'll be like, "Well, when did you figure that out?" I'm like, "Last night while I was researching it." He goes, "Oh, is that what you were doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not just playing on my phone, silly." Um, so yeah. Um, Next, listen to your children and your intuition. So definitely moms have their mom intuition, and it's something that we really want to follow. If something's telling you to do something, then that's that innerness that you need to listen to, okay? Even dad's intuition. And if someone is trying to overbear that, then that's another one of those. Are they in your trusted circle? Is that someone that you need to have a discussion with? Or is it someone just outside trying to do that? If it's just someone outside trying to bring that negativeness to you, say thank you, but no thank you. You don't have to be mean about it, but in the same instance, they need to know that you appreciate them trying to help, but you got this, okay? And listen to your children too. It's one of those where, for instance, our little guy has different cries. I'm sure everybody's little baby has different cries, but it's different for every baby. Um, but Mama knows when he's just pouting because it's bedtime, right? Mama knows when it's hungry, when he's hungry. Mama knows when he's too congested and needs to be salined. And as you can tell, he gave Mama this. So this is where Mama got cold. So we're dealing with that right now. But, listen to your children. Like, nobody knows your children better than you do. So if you're like, oh, if you look up, why is my baby crying? And they give you a list of things, yes, that's helpful. Or if you talk to someone, oh, he's crying, then you want to go through the steps. But you really know your child, and listening to your child first and um, understanding what they want is something that good. Because if you start listening to everybody else, you don't learn as much as you want to about your child because you're constantly listening to outside factors. For instance, if your baby was crying because maybe his bum hurt because he had some irritation, um, but you're like, I just changed him. That can't be it. But let's try and feed him. But he pushes away the bottle. He's like, no, feed buddy, because you're hungry. You're not listening to your child, right? At that point, you might be listening to someone else. Oh no, it's because he's hungry. It's because you just changed him. He's fine. No, start going through that process from beginning. Okay, what do we typically do when the baby starts crying, especially if they're young and you're still learning their little cues and everything? You go through the whole list of things that could be wrong, right? And checking that diaper, even though it might be dry, that's something that you want to check just in case there's irritation. I remember, I think it was my mom was telling me that once when she changed my sister's, like a little beetle got stuck in her diaper, and and she's like, everything looked fine, everything, so she didn't think it was that, but then once she's like, no, something, she opened it up and she found a little beetle in there. So she's like, how in the world did you get in here? Um, so it's like listening to your children, and also your intuition. You know some things, Like, there's been a couple of times, and I'm not putting down Dan's, but there's been a couple of times that my husband's like, he's fine. Like, he's not fine. He's fine. Like, no, no, no. Don't tell me he's fine. Mama's intuition is telling me he's not fine. I'm going to go check it on him, and he's not fine. So, you know, so sometimes it even comes from yourself. That's okay. Guard your truth against invaders. So this is going to be a big one because you have your values. Other people have different values. You know, there's certain ways that we're raising our son. There are certain ways that other people raise their son. Am I going to change their way? No. Are they going to change my way? No. Mama's stuck in her ways. Now, if it's something beneficial for our little guy, then I might think about it. But if it's just for the sake of saying, no, we do it this way, so you should, no. That's not a good enough answer. You know, there's multiple ways to usually solve a problem or get to the end goal. And that's how I look at raising children. You know, moms can take multiple different paths with raising their kid and could all come to the same finish line. And so if there's a specific thing about your mothering ways that you know, people try and change, but it's like it's something true to you, don't let them like in. Okay? Just stand your ground and be like, I appreciate it, but no, thank you though. Encourage your tribe. So if you have a tribe of other parents that a lot of people will go on new parent groups or go to new parent groups in person and be part. The last thing you want to do is go to a cynical parent group and have everybody telling you, yeah, what you're doing is wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. No, you want people to encourage you, right? And the same thing goes for you with them. You want to encourage them. You're doing a great job, Mama. You're doing a wonderful job. Yes, sometimes it has late nights. Sometimes you just want to cry. Sometimes you can't get your baby to stop crying. It happens. And you just want to encourage them that you're doing a great job. And then say, you know, have you tried this? Sometimes that works, not all the time. Sometimes it works, so it might be something good to try. You know, but always be encouraging. Okay, you don't want to be that mom. You're like, well, no wonder your baby's crying all night. You're doing this. You don't want to be the reason for mom guilt. Okay, you want to encourage your tribe. Oh, and look, I put plan shopping for you. So this goes for moms as well. So plan shopping for you. So this is on the financial side. We usually want to give our kids everything so we stop spending money on ourselves. Okay? Me. I used to get a massage every now and then, used to go get a pedicure, used to do this every now and then, not often, but enough to treat myself, right? Since little ones come, I haven't really done anything. So he's almost a year old. I haven't done anything. I had a massage maybe about 8 weeks after having him, and I haven't been back since. And what I want to tell moms is it's okay. And I have my next massage is actually scheduled for November, so I'm very excited about that. But plan shopping for you. This is going to be huge because you need to keep your identity, right? Because actually Nazi and myself and my team member Megan were actually talking about this, how moms lose their identity. Because instead of being Kim, I'm now Lincoln's mom, or which I haven't got that yet. But what I do get is like my parents or my in-laws, they're like, so when is Lincoln coming over? Like, all right, you don't want to see me? Well, guess what? I'm bringing him. So if you don't want to see me, you're not seeing the baby. No, just kidding. But that's, we kind of start losing us, and you almost feel like no one wants to see you anymore. They do. They do. they're just excited for the baby, right? Because they grow up so fast, and they want you get to see your little baby every day, and they usually only get to see him on weekends, if that, maybe once or twice a month. And he's growing so fast that they just want to see him. And I want to make sure people know that it's nothing against you, Mama or Dada. It's nothing against you guys. It's just that they love, you know, like my parents absolutely loved, my mom loved raising us, and so she is like over the moon and would want to see Lincoln every day if she could. But in the same instance, you know, if you have those people in your life and they're willing to babysit, plan shopping for you, let them have the baby, let them get the baby time, and then you go take a time for yourself. It is okay. And with that, that will really help with overcoming that mom guilt, because a lot of people have guilt about that too. That, well, I should be spending money on my kid. Like, you are spending money on you to get you in a very good headspace and help relieve your stress, so then you can be a better mom to your child. Okay, if you want to work it out like that and talk to your, you know, kind of talk yourself into it that way, and it's true, so it's not like you're fibbing yourself. It's true. You want to take care of you, because if you are in a good mental space, you are in a much better space to take care of your little one. Okay. Same with dads. My husband goes and gets a massage. He didn't stop his, so you can see he didn't have any dad guilt about that. So but he does that too, because that helps him. That's one of his stress relievers, because he's constantly busy working a full-time job, and then he's a wedding DJ on the side. So he's constantly doing a lot of stuff and a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of moving. That for him, that massage helps get him into a really good mindset and actually relieves that stress for him to make him in a better headspace for little guy too. So again, plan shopping for you. It doesn't have to actually be shopping. It can be anything. Days out for yourself, days out with the girls, days out with, maybe your family without the little guy. So you can still have that relationship with your family without your family gawking at the little one the whole time. Things like that. Okay. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I know it was a lot. It was a lot of psychological thrownness at you. But that's what it really comes down to. And with this psychological stuff, especially with personal finance and stuff, it can take a toll. And sometimes when moms are having mom guilt or things like that, they overspend on their kids, or if you have the retail therapy, you overspend on that. So it's one of those things that it really all ties in together. And I didn't want to not bring this up for people, because it is one of those true things that really affect a lot of people and really affect their finances as well. And I don't want certain negative mindset also affecting your finances and now bringing you to a negative financial situation, negative mindset, negative financial institution, in a negative financial spot, just kind of compounds everything. And so if you are looking for coaching or you need any budgeting services, I want to make sure that you reach out to us at centerfe@nhfcu.org. That's our email. Our website is www.nhfcu.org. And this is where you can find our upcoming classes, okay? You'll click on the tab that says Center for Finance and Education. That will bring you right to our classes. Then we have our direct extension for the center, so that's 603-224-7731, extension 330. And our centers are actually located at 47 North Main Street in Concord and 71 Calif Highway in Lee. We also have a branch on 70 Airport Road, but they are mostly our financial branch. Okay? So if after watching this, if something really triggers you and you're like, you know what, I really need to get myself on a budget and maybe help me train my behaviors to go a little bit differently, by all means, reach out to us if you have any other questions about any of our other classes or need help signing up. Please let me know, and I can definitely do that for you. All right. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful afternoon. Bye bye.